Welcome once again to Pale Blooms and Beyond. Thank you for joining us today. If you do like the programming you see here and the musicians and artists that I visit with, please be sure and hit the like button below and also subscribe to the channel. Gary Shea is an American musician, bass guitarist, and author who was a founding member of the bands New England and Alcatrazz. New England would release a trio of albums in the late 70s and early 80s. The original lineup was John Fannon, guitar vocals, Jimmy Waldo, keyboards vocals, Gary, bass vocals, and Hirsh Gardner, drums and vocals. Post New England, Gary would play in the band Warrior for a brief spell. Then came Alcatrazz in 1983, co-formed by Gary, Jimmy Waldo, and singer Graham Bonnett, with the addition of drummer Jan Uvena and guitarist Yngwie Malmsteen. Gary played in the band originally from 1983 to 1987, then in 2017 for reunion shows, and finally from 2020 to present day. And my guest is the author of the book No Bass, No Party, Sketches in My Life in Music, published earlier this year, about the lessons he has learned in the music business. Well, welcome, Gary.
Well, thanks.
Well, you're very welcome, very welcome. Well, take us back to the beginning. Where were you born?
Connecticut, Central Connecticut, Waterbury, Southington area.
Okay. All those states up there are real close together, so you can pass through several states in the time that it would take to go across Texas. You know, I know that.
That's why the name New England seemed natural to me.
Right. There you go. Well, when did you relocate to the new Massachusetts?
During my college years, I went to school in Boston for a bit and dropped out and played in local bands.
Okay.
And I moved to London, England, and played a number of bands there for about a year.
Okay.
And came back to Boston at one point.
Okay. Well, going back, backtracking a little bit to your early childhood, I guess in Connecticut, was there music in the household?
Yeah, my grandfather played piano. I actually played for Rudy Valley back in the 1930s.
Is that
Rudy
right?
Valley is from Rhode Island.
Is that right?
So my mom grew up with a whole large band playing in the living room, horns, the whole bit, during her childhood. And when my first bands got together, we rehearsed. We had a rental house over a bar room, and we had an attic which you could stand up erect in the middle, but not on the sides. And we used to rehearse there in the winter and the summer, and it was cold in the winter and hot in the summer. That was our home base for a year and a half for my first band. And so we started there. That was our starting point.
Was it? Okay. Well, was the bass the first instrument you picked up and learned to play?
No, I played guitar at first. I bought a guitar. And this is the fluke. I was in a mom and pop electronics store one day with my friend, and we were going to test the tubes on our amplifiers. And in the store, there were a number of used guitars up on the wall. And I was looking around. I was about 16, I think. And I just bought a brand new Fender Stratocaster, 1965, brand new Fender Stratocaster for $267, picking apples, $1 an hour to get that guitar. My life savings, just about. And it was a beautiful guitar. And we're in the store looking around, and on the wall was a Fender bass. And I took it down, and I just said, "This is like an aircraft carrier."
Yeah.
Strings are like this big. None of that guitar stuff. And when we plugged it in, it shook the room. I said, "I like it."
You like that?
This is different. And my friend was joking around. He said, "What are you gonna do with that?" I said, "I'm gonna buy it."
What do you
I
think?
bought it for $125 used. It's a 1965 Fender Precision bass, the same one James Jamerson used in all the Motown tracks. And today, both those basses are worth $10,000, $15,000, $20,000.
I was going to say, yeah.
So
Wow.
but that was my beginning, and so I became a bass player, and we started a band. I went back and learned all the songs I had learned on guitar and learned the bass parts.
Oh, no.
And from that day on, I described in my book that's what got me going. That's why no bass, no party.
Right.
I understand what the bass does sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
the anchor of the band.
right.
The heartbeat, the pulse.
It is.
Links the drums to the melody.
You need that backbeat and the rhythm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, do you think it's easier to go from like learning guitar to bass, or vice versa the other way?
Not really. I mean, in a way, it was great going from guitar to bass because I knew chords and knew the notes that made up chords, and those are the notes you play on the bass. So I had a little bit of understanding about music theory before I got the bass. But you can do the same thing without having a guitar in the beginning. Just learn the notes and
Right.
scales.
Right. Well, a couple of other questions early on. Can you recall the first 45 or album that you got?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was called uh, "Someone Like You," and we recorded it in my junior year of school in May. It was May 1st, my mother's birthday, and she had to drive me there because I was 15, didn't have a car. We made our first single, and
Okay.
the deal was we spent $500 for 1,000 copies, and we sold all 1,000. We make a $500
Okay.
profit.
Well, yeah. What I meant was the first 45 that you bought that you
Well,
went
the
out
first 45 of what?
of
First,
another band.
I don't particularly remember the first 45. I remember the first album was the Beach Boys,
Okay.
the Beach
Okay.
Boys album.
Okay. All right. I've heard that a few times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the song "I Get Around" was one of my favorite songs. I
Yeah.
was kind of into cars and model cars and kind of a gearhead. I like that whole Little Deuce Coupe and all those songs. It wasn't so much the surf thing as it was the car thing. And I
Yeah.
like the line in "I Get Around" where he says, "I'm getting bugged driving up the same old strip. I got to find a new place where the kids are hip." I said, "I'm in. I got to leave town.
Yeah.
You know, I've worn this town out. I got."
Right.
And I
Where can I
moved
start?
away, and that was
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad of Brian's passing. He's the last of the Wilson brothers, isn't he? Yeah.
Uh,
Brian.
no, no, they're all gone now. The three of
Yeah,
them are gone.
yeah, he was the last one. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. Well, how about the one more? But before we get into bands, can you recall one of the first concerts, live shows that you attended that you went to?
One of the first shows I saw was the Buffalo Springfield,
Oh,
the
is that
original band opening for the Beach Boys in Hartford. And that was pretty good.
oh yeah.
At that time, I was a Buffalo Springfield fan, as well as the Beach Boys, but the Buffalo Springfield were great. They were the original band. They played great before they had their problems of splitting up and all that.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. Also at that time, I saw Steppenwolf,
Okay.
and I thought that was pretty cool. And they were great. And I liked the guitar player. I thought I looked like Keith Richards and played like Jeff Beck. I think guys are cool. And
Yeah.
4 years later, I was in London and auditioning for him, and I joined the band.
Is that right?
That's
Okay.
another story, but that's also in my book.
Well, yeah. Well, you can shed a little light on that if you like. First, what were some other early musical influences for you, bands and influences?
I liked all the kind of bands like the Moody Blues and Procol Harum. I liked orchestrated rock music, orchestrated pop. Didn't want to be in a blues band. Didn't want to play jazz. I wanted to play in a band that had, that told a story and had great instrumentation, you know. And in New England, we kind of accomplished that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Strings and cellos and all that stuff. And that's
Yeah.
what I want to do. So
Right.
it worked out. That was my influence. I heard Corey the Crimson King, and I said, "This is it. I got to move to England because nobody around here playing like that." You know?
Oh no, I love
I
that.
love Great Lake, and I love the Nice, and I love Lake and Palmer,
Oh yeah.
and everything like that. And that's what caught my ear. So I didn't want to go to San Francisco and join a Jefferson airplane or anything like that.
Right,
They
right,
were great for their thing. That's not what I want to do.
right. So you're more of an Anglophile like myself.
Right.
Yeah.
So I
Yes.
went east rather than west. I'd been to San Francisco already before that happened and checked it out. Said, not so much.
Right,
And so I moved to Boston.
right, right, right. Yeah. There's that heavy blues influence, out on the West Coast. Yeah. And like you said, I was more into the melodies and the harmonies coming out of the UK. A lot of that, and the instrumentation they used. You know,
Right.
so different. Yeah. Even the Baroque sound, I really enjoy.
Right.
Yeah.
And bands like Renaissance and all that. I love the
Yeah.
Yardbirds.
Yeah.
I love the Yardbirds and the Kinks are my favorite, British invasion bands, as well as the Beatles.
Right.
But then I heard the Who, and that was all I should.
Right.
So I
What
said,
about what
I
about
want I
What
want
about
to
the,
play the bass.
yeah, then you want to, what about the Zombies?
Well, love the Zombies.
Yeah, yeah.
Colin Blunstone's great. I've got all Alan Parsons records and all
Oh,
the things they've done. Great voice. I'm glad they're up there right now on tour
yeah, that's
around the
right.
country doing the
Yeah,
Zombies, a documentary and I think a new album.
yeah,
So good for them. But yeah, I love the Zombies. I loved Argent, all those bands
right.
caught my ear. And they're
And
just different. There wasn't the bluesy thing or the boogie thing, come on, mama, 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 we're gonna party on down, we're gonna party, party, boogie, boogie, mama, mama. It's like enough,
yeah,
enough. Everyone's,
yeah,
a little more interesting than that for me.
right, right.
So we set off to do that.
Yeah, well, the sound comes through, especially in New England. The English sound, what you referred to, it does come through. Well, talk about your early bands prior to New England.
Well, I played in a band that had Barry Brandt as a drummer. He answered an ad we had in the paper in Boston. And he later on became the drummer for the group Angel.
Angel, yes, yes.
So I knew Angel, Mickey Jones, and Punky and those guys. We were all 20 years old,
Yeah.
21 years old in Boston.
Weren't they weren't they out of Washington?
Yeah,
Washington
they're all
D.C.?
from DC. And
DC.
they came north chasing Ralph Mormon, who one day would join the Joe Perry Project, and then Satellite Brown. And Ralph was a great singer. And they came north looking for him, and Barry deserted and joined the band I was putting together. And all those guys got banned. That was one band. The band didn't get off the ground. We moved to a house in Connecticut, of all places, out of Boston to rehearse and do the band thing. And a friend of mine who was in my first band in Connecticut was going to UConn. He said, "Here's this amazing band at a club called Fatback." And I thought that's a weird name. He said every song was 30 minutes long, big keyboards, big bass, big drums, singer, but no guitar player. He said they were fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, 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 yeah. There's no fantastic.
Yeah.
Called Fatback. And I said, that's kind of a strange name for a rock band, progressive rock band. They're from North Carolina.
Right.
So that went by. And I played a band called Killer Oats, which is all Berkeley guys. And we were playing John McLaughlin songs. Kicked out.
Right.
We couldn't get arrested.
Right.
All the time. Do you play Brown Sugar? No. We will never play Brown Sugar. We're playing John McLaughlin stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
No, not selling beer. You're out of here. You guys suck. Okay,
That's funny.
we're out of here.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that was happening, and some of my friends wanted to stay at Berkeley and go to school, and I didn't. So I moved to London from there.
Oh, okay. And what year was that? What year was that? You
Like
moved to London?
1972-ish, 73.
Oh, okay. That was a good time to be over there too. Well,
Yeah.
any time really from the 60s on was a good time.
Yeah, I caught the tail end of the 60s, so it was kind of cool. Carnaby Street and all that was still there. Kings Road, all the cool clothing places, and the styles are pretty flashy.
Yeah.
I burned all my American clothes and bought new.
Did you? Did you? Yeah, and that prog scene was coming on at that
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
And I met a guy the first day I was going to my hotel, carrying a bass, carrying my suitcase, didn't know where I was. I went by myself, had made no plan to do anything. Found a hotel and newspaper at the airport. And I meet this young guy on the street, musician type, and he introduced himself. It was Michael Corby, who would later start the Babies.
Oh,
And he said that he was starting a band with Luther Grosvenor from Spooky Tooth, who would one day become Ariel Bender of Mont the Hoople.
Yeah.
And I was a huge Spooky Tooth fan. Talking about English bands, I thought Spooky Tooth was great. I didn't ever make it in the States.
Yeah.
It was such a great band. And I said, really? He goes, yeah, we need a bass player. You want to meet him tomorrow? So I am here. I might not get the gig, but I'm going to go, I'll check it out. And then I went off from there. He said, we're going to a party for the Pink Fairies.
Yeah.
You want to come?
Oh, yes.
The Pink who? The Pink Fairies. And it turns out that they were like the MC5. They were revolutionaries and very political. And who was at their party but the MC5?
They were at the party. Wow.
Yeah, so I'm talking to Wayne Kramer and everything. Fell on from Connecticut. And Michael and I started rehearsing with different drummers and different things. And I moved on and I played with Luther for a while. He was about to join Steelers Wheel. people don't realize he plays a slide part on Stuck in the Middle with You. It's Luther Grossen playing the guitar. They offered him to join the band. He said, should I join this band with you and Michael? I said, join Steelers Wheel. I said, join Steelers Wheel. That'd be the smart thing. And he did.
Yeah. Well, I had a question. Luther, is he the last one, a surviving member of Spooky Tooth too?
Yeah, he's the last guy standing.
Yeah, because I know Gary a while ago, and then Mike Harrison was more recent, I think.
I don't know if Gary Wright is
yeah, he passed. Yeah,
he did. Then Luther's the last guy.
Yeah. Wow, you guys are going. That's why I tell people. I said I got to get you guys while I can.
Well, I wrote the book.
Right. There you go. That's right. Get it in ink while you can. Exactly.
Right.
Well. Talk about how New England got together.
Well, in England, I answered an ad in the paper, and I met Michael Monarch, who was guitarist for Steppenwolf. And I couldn't believe it. He was kind of put off because they wanted to get English guys in their band. They were coming from LA. They'd just done a record under the name Hocus Pocus, not Focus, but Hocus Pocus Band on Mercury. Cool band. I feel like the Small Faces with Jeff Beck playing guitar. Right up my alley. This is cool. It's what I want to do, love this. And when I said I was from Connecticut, he kind of got quiet. And he said, well, come on over anyway. All right. So I just saw him like 6 weeks ago in Florida playing. He plays, there's a one-man show on the west coast of Florida where he lives, when hung out with him for a night.
Is that right?
So I go there and audition, and they said, great, and I said, wow. Went home, all geek,
Yeah.
Playing the songs I never played before. And the phone didn't ring. Didn't ring the next day, a week later, 2 weeks later. I said, well, so much for that.
Right. You kind of wrote that off.
Yeah. Then the phone rings, and he said, we had these two guys that were English, kind of a package deal. They were looking for a drummer and a bass player. But didn't work. I said, you want to come down? I said, sure. So I went down, and the new drummer they picked was Herman Rarbel, who one day would play for Scorpions.
Oh, yes.
So it was Herman and I and John Hyde. John Hyde and Michael Monarch would eventually become the group Detective on Swan Song. And Jimmy Page loved those guys and produced all that stuff. And they became the Mighty Detective. Great band, great players. Tony Kaye from Yes played keyboards in that band. So I'm mingling with these guys going, this is my friends aren't going to believe me. This is and in the meantime, the other guys were kind of like vegetarians. They didn't go out. And Herman was a raver. He was a typical drummer. Let's go out and get stupid. Let's go to all the bars, not just one. And he's telling me, he said, Gary, he goes, rock is here. We could be friends.
All right.
So one night he tells me, he says he found a great guitar player at the Marquee Club from New York. In this band, American band was playing the Marquee. The guitar player was super. And he talked the guy into quitting the band over this new band that Herman wanted to put together. And this guitar player quit his band. His friends from New York want to kill him. He also owned the PA system. Looking for him. And the three of us started rehearsing together, put an ad in the paper again, Melody Maker. And Peter French from Cactus called us. He had just left Cactus in the States because Carmen Appice and Tim Bogert were going to play with Jeff Beck. So that broke up the group Cactus, which had done a couple of records. And Peter French was the second singer in the band after Rusty Day had problems. And he came along and joined our band. And I thought, wow, he's old. He's 27, like 21.
That's right. That's ancient.
Joined the band. He was great guy. Yeah. And it was really, really cool to have that happen. And Herman, through friends he knew and where he was living, met Robert Stigwood. And Robert Stigwood, managed the Bee Gees and RSO Records and the whole thing. And they started giving us a deal where they were paying our rent and paying for recording time, rehearsal time. We thought, this is cool. We're rehearsing at CBS London. Again, my friends are not going to believe this. This is kind of a dreamlike situation. And we sound great. The band sounds good. It's like, damn. And all of a sudden, I got this letters from the home office saying, leave now. Your immigration is way wrong. We've been looking for you for about 6 months.
Oh, no.
And they told Herman the same thing. So he had to go back to Germany, join an unknown band called the Scorpions. Yeah. I go back to Boston. Go, now what?
Wow.
Damn, it's just going pretty good, I didn't learn how to speak English.
Yeah, right. The proper way, right?
Yeah, probably. So I came back to Boston. It's like, now what? So one night, about 6 months later, so I'm in I got a flat and I'm over in the park writing lyrics in the daytime. And I go in the afternoon one day, in the afternoon, summertime, to my place, and turn on my little black and white TV. And back then, nothing's on TV. It was um, the Mike Douglas show on in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And he had this great new band he was hyping up, great new band. So I was like making myself a sandwich, going, yeah, yeah. And I walk out, and there it is, Michael Corby, this band of babies. And they got brand new suits on, limousines, big time record deal. They're off and running. And I was like, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, right.
And I said, well, if he
Wow.
can do that, I can do that too, you know.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
And
That instilled a little bit of
that was
confidence.
pretty interesting, you know.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it, actually. I thought it's pretty, because I thought Mike was going to get arrested before that happened.
Right. Pretty surreal meeting them.
Yeah,
and
it's the real deal. And my friends
Surreal.
became Angel, and they're on the road and going all over the place.
Yeah.
And so one night I'm sitting in a Greek restaurant with a bunch of musician types after the club's closing. A girl I know played in a group in Boston said, I know a band looking for a bass player. I said, yeah. She goes, no, they're really good. I said, yeah. I said, what's the name? And she said, Jack. I said, that's great. Band called Jack. Come on. She goes, well, they used to be called different names. They always got to keep changing the name.
Yeah.
I said, okay. She went through a few names, and then she said the word fatback. And I said, really? I said, did they talk with accents from the South? She goes, yeah. I said, give me the phone number quick.
Oh,
Sure
right.
enough,
Right.
it
Yeah.
was my boys.
Yeah.
Here they were living in Massachusetts, you know. They
Wow.
left North Carolina, and they were living in Massachusetts, owned a house out in the woods. They were playing little bars from Michigan to Montreal and stuff, and have their own music and cover songs to be able to, you know, get in the club, get your foot in the door, make some dollars. So I auditioned for them. At that point, they had changed drummers and got Hirsh Gardner, who had just graduated Berkeley, was from Toronto. They had added a guitar player, John Fannon, who's from Boston. And they had a new singer, Kenny Mealy, who's from Long Island. And they were getting rid of the original bass player. So Jimmy Waldo would be the only original member on keyboard. So they wanted more of a heavy bass than the other guy was playing. And I said, I can do that. Watch this. So they said they had like 16 guys audition so far. And I'd be the 17th, and come on down. I went to their house, and I went downstairs in this ranch house they had, ranch style house. And the basement was just full of gear. Things were like plugged to the wall, no wiring to it, nothing was grounded. All kinds of custom amplifiers and Marshall heads going into organs and B3s and listen. And they turn on to sound like God, like Pink Floyd. I was like, this is cool. These guys, what are they doing? I said, I'm in, you know. So they said, call us tomorrow at 5. I'll let you know. So I called them at 4. And I said, I'm the guy, right? They said, yeah, you're the guy. I said, okay, good. So we're off and running. And we started playing gigs. We played 90 gigs, I think, in 1975. We're doing pretty good, playing the whole circuit, Montreal and Maine and all kinds of places. And we were in Rhode Island, Newport, Rhode Island, in the summertime. And John and Jimmy were saying, if we could find these two guys in Boston who had managed John, another band, we'd have a manager. We needed a good manager. So I saw in a local paper they were managing a girl like Linda Ronstadt, who got signed to RCA, and she'd make a record. I said, here's your guys. They're managing this girl, Annie McLean. So they call them up, and then they come tell me, I said, well, we talked to Neil and Lloyd, and they don't really want to manage the band. But they want me and Jimmy to be on her album, so we're going to quit the band. I said, great.
Oh, after
Thanks
that.
a lot, friends, buddies.
Right. That's
Great.
loyalty for it. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, you know, that knocked that out of the wall. And so my friend Greg Chansky, who I'd been in Connecticut with, had Barry Brandt in the band. You know, as an Angel had told their manager about this guy, Greg Chansky, who's a really good guitar player, great songwriter. And had songs like Joni Mitchell, sang like Cat Stevens. Great songs. So he was going to go to California, and I played on his demo. And he had Steven Tyler and Billy Squire singing background vocals for him. And Howie Greenberg, who was on the original Boston demo, played drums. And he said, I'm going to go to California. I can't promise you anything, but if you want to come along. So I'm in. So we go to Los Angeles, and that lasted 3 days before chaos came in. It's a lot of here. And I spent about 6, 7 months in LA plunking around and nothing. Couldn't find any bands that were heavy and played that style.
Yeah.
I was friends with the guys in Legs Diamond. They're a
Oh,
good band,
right.
nice, good guys. And they were
Yeah.
kind of close. And the Angel guys, of course, were kind of doing what we were doing, but nothing I could get into. And I was playing with a guitar player and a drummer, and we auditioned for Al Stewart. And Al Stewart had just recorded Year of the Cat, it hadn't come out yet. And he was going to go on tour, and he'd come to LA to find a backup band that knew each other and be tighter that way. And I learned that record and the record before it and auditioned for him. And I was told I got the gig. And I was like, that's cool. That's cool. And the manager, turns out the manager knew my booking guy in Connecticut. I was in high school, and he bear hugged me. You're the guy, you're the guy. I said, great, great. $1,000 a week in 1977. So I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good money back then. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then I get a phone call from Massachusetts. The other band broke up. John and Jimmy are saying, hey, man,
Oh, okay.
nobody plays bass like you in Boston. You got to come back. You got to come back. So,
All
nope.
right.
I'm out here. It's 85 degrees. It's October. It's snowing in Massachusetts. No. No.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to be in this band. I know who he is because I lived in England. He's going to be big. He's going to be big. And then I said, no. And they called me a second time. Come on back. Nah. About in a month's time, he called me a third time. And I thought, well, if I'm a backup guy in a band, you can come and go. You're disposable in a matter of seconds. If you're in a band, it takes a little longer to more lawyers to get you out of a real band that you're part of. So,
Yeah.
so I'll take my shot and be 25% of the unknown rather than go with the quick fix cash thing for that might last a month or two. And I came back to Massachusetts, and John had a deal with a friend in Philadelphia on a studio, and he was doing all the funk stuff. And he wanted to work with a band like Queen where he could do backwards vocals and do all the tricks and the fun stuff that was going on at the time. So we went down there 3 times and did demos, and our third demo clicked, and off we went with that. That became New England. So the
Yeah.
whole fatback thing from way back when,
Are any of the guys with Fatback still around? Are they still?
We're friends with the singer. The other
Okay.
guys, not so much.
Okay, that might be somebody I might look into.
Yeah. So I mean, Jimmy Waldo and I have been playing together for 50 years now.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that something?
50.
Wow. Does it seem like it? Does it seem like it?
Nah, it seems like maybe 10 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
But we've been in 5 bands together.
Yeah. Yeah.
5, 6 maybe. Recording things, just recording things, whatever.
Right.
But
Well, so you came up with New England. You came up with the name, right? You said New England.
Well, actually, a guy from Elektra Records came along, the Northeast guy, and he helped the Cars get their record deal. And he saw us through a friend of mine, liked the band. He wanted to manage us, and he had seen his friends become the managers of the group Boston and become rich and famous. He thought, I'm next. But and I was saying, well, you ever book a VFW hall or a Grange hall or something? He goes, no. And I said, how are you going to book us in Madison Square Garden? Who do you know? We don't want a manager that's going to be able to do that. And I have the David and Goliath theory of managers. You get Mr. Big, who manages Elton John and Paul McCartney, but when he picks the phone up, people are in fear.
Yes, right.
Things
Right.
get done. Or your cousin can do it. He means well. He loves you, and he'll climb the top of the telephone pole for you. But
Yeah.
he can't get you booked at Madison Square Garden. So you have to make a decision when you're a band. If you have a manager, what kind of manager you want? The little guy, the big guy? Knowing the big guy's going to be busy with the big artists, and someone like Lieber and Krebs managed Ted Nugent and Aerosmith and the Scorpions and 10 other people. So getting a phone call in there could be difficult, but you have to go gamble with that thing.
Yeah.
And so the guy's name was Kurt. He suggested, since we had no name, he suggested the name New England. We all went, no, you crazy?
Yeah.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
That's just asking for bad reviews. It's just going to make people really, really upset.
Right.
And,
Right.
and I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I'm from Connecticut. John's from Massachusetts. Tom Schultz is from Ohio.
Yes.
Sorry, you know. And they weren't a band when we were a band. It was like a studio thing. They got lucky and got a deal. And I thought, you know, if there's any group around here that could take that name and get away with it, it's us. And
Yeah.
I'm ready to stamp the plate and say loud and proud, we're New England. And the name kind of translates into the English music that we like, that we're not a boogie band. We're not, you know, going to do that. And that's why we chose the name New England. And it's a name you can remember, because there's so many bands that have names you can't remember. Great bands. It's hard to remember their names. But New England, oh, I heard you. No, you've heard of New England. You know, Alcatrazz. I heard of Alcatrazz. No, you've heard about it's the real Alcatrazz.
Yes, right.
But the names are important. I was instrumental in pushing both those names. And so we became New England at one point. And Kurt went to a Kiss gig in Providence, Rhode Island, and played the tape for Bill Coyne, the manager's right-hand guy, Rick Aliberti, who's also had been an Elektra Records guy.
Oh,
And he said, "Who are these guys?" And this guy Kurt said, "These guys are amazing. They're in the woods up in Massachusetts, little cottage with the walls knocked down. They sound Pink Floyd in there."
right.
He said, "Can they sound like this live? And this is really cool stuff." He goes, "They're even better live. They're heavy live.
Oh,
It
wow.
doesn't translate on the tape that they're heavy.
Yeah.
It's like the Who meets Pink Floyd. I mean,
Right.
you know, there's no big kabang in the Pink Floyd. We got the kabang, plus we got the flutes."
Yeah. Before you continue, I thought of something when you said, the Cars. Do you remember the band before the Cars that Rick and Benjamin were in? Remember the band?
Well, the original was Richard and the Rabbits was one band that Rick Ocasek was in.
Yeah.
That band. They're into Captain Midnight or something. Cap something.
It was called Milkwood. Do you remember Milkwood?
Milkwood, right.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to the other member, the third member, Jim Goodkind.
Yeah.
Whoa, a year or so ago about
Yeah.
those
I
times.
saw him play in a roller skating rink at a party, and I'd met David Robinson from the Cars in my Boston days when I first moved up there. One of my roommates said, "Oh, you got to meet Dave. You got to meet Dave. He's cool. He's cool." It's okay. So he worked in a record store and had all the Keith Richards stuff on. Looked cool. We started talking. He said they were into the Ohio Express, the 1910 Fruit Company. I said, "Well, I think I'm leaving now."
That's a little too poppy, yeah.
You know,
right.
I mean, listen to Just What I Need. That doom 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 that doom 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 doom. That's yummy.
It is. It's got that
right off.
Yeah.
And I said,
yeah.
I don't know. I want something with a little more meat to it than that.
Yeah.
And of course, they got multi-famous and
Right. Well,
whatever.
continue. I didn't mean to derail you there. Go ahead.
No, but you meet a lot of people. And in my book, I describe more of those kind of meetings and the conversations with people about what they want to do, what they do, and I just kind of found my own way. So my book's about perseverance and sticking to your guns and doing what you want to do the best way. And I've been lucky to hack my way through it.
Right. Well, early on with New England, did you guys play a lot of live shows?
Oh yeah, we played tons of shows. We didn't play live for close to 2 years.
Okay.
We rehearsed every day, like 6 days a week, 5-6 days a week. We rehearsed from 9 in the morning till like 4 in the afternoon. And most bands, they have day jobs. So they get to the rehearsal at 7 o'clock at night and they're drinking coffee and they're trying to get a second wind. They want to go home. They only want to rehearse till 9 o'clock, and 8:30 they're ready to get the car keys, are out of here.
Right.
Can't get anything done.
Yeah.
So we found that being wide awake in the morning and not drinking beer and all that stuff, we got a lot of work done.
Yeah.
We fine-tuned those songs backwards and sideways, up and down for a couple of years, and had to record them on demos, which was great. And we had a great deal of doing 16-track demos, which was unheard of back then, very expensive. The deal was if we do the demos in Philadelphia with our friend, and if we got a major record deal, we would record at that studio, or we'd pay for the time that we spent. He'd fix a price to that, and we'd take it. So we agreed to that. We had a super sounding bunch of demos, and people went, "Who are these guys?" So we got the attention of everybody. And Kurt rang up. He said, "Do you mind if Rick Aliberti from the KISS organization comes and hears you guys tomorrow morning?" So sure, bring him down. No problem. So I came down and blew him away and said,
Yeah.
Damn. So
Yeah.
he called New York City immediately. And a week later, Bill O'Coin's up there, got 2 limousines of guys from New York coming that long driveway through the woods and suits on and sit down on the folding chairs in front of my amplifiers. And we played.
Yeah.
And the very second song, my amp blew up, caught on fire.
Oh no, did it?
Big burst of flame. Wow, damn. And of course, Bill being with Kiss, the fire was no big deal.
Yeah.
Might be part of our act.
Oh, those pyrotechnics, yeah.
Yeah. So I said to the amp, you're going to work.
Yeah.
Take good care, you're going to work. So it came back on. We played. Next day it blew. But it was enough to secure the deal with Bill Cohen. He'd be our manager. So we went down to New York to see their world. It was like 2 floors on Madison Avenue. And they had 30 people in there working, and they were working it. And it was amazing. Their own record company kind of thing. A record company in Casablanca, but they're also their own company, pushing Kiss on the radio and magazines, wherever, building the Kiss Army. That's what it is today. It's an amazing machine. Do you want to be part of it? No, I'd rather drive cabs in Boston.
Right. Well, that connection with Kiss, Kiss's manager, was that why Paul Stanley was pulled in to produce the first album?
Yeah, we got our deal. We had 6 record company presidents come see us. Clive Davis came to our house. Chuck Plotkin came, just produced Bruce Springsteen, talking about arrangemental tonalities to us. And okay. And RSO and Electra. And we signed Luxembourg with Ron Luxembourg for Infinity Records, which was a new company at the time through MCA. And at that point, Kurt Nolan decided that he was going to go down there and try. And we told him he could be the road manager or something, but you're not going to be the manager. So he's going to go to New York and see what kind of deal he could get. And before he left, he came in a little note of paper called Letter of Intent that someday we'd enter a more formal agreement with him, just to show he had some kind of power with us. So we want to help him out, but we knew I was 27. This can kill us in court. This is stupid. Sure enough, we signed. He said he ripped it up when he came back. Went down. They offered him a part of the band, which he thought was nothing. And I thought, are you kidding? It's a great deal. And he sued everybody. So now we got our record deal. We're doing great. And when there's a knock on the door in the woods one day, and it's a federal marshal, gave us each a little document. Federal court in New York City, we're suing each for $1 million a piece. And Bill O'Coin and MCA Records. This guy's suing everybody.
Whoa.
And I thought, man, here's where we get dropped like a hot potato.
Yeah.
These guys in New York and LA not going to. And they said, no, you guys are that good. We're going to go to battle in court with this clown. We're going to get him. So we got him. And he didn't get much out of it. Kind of got drummed out of the business over it and disappeared and back into the woodwork someplace. It was too bad. But it caused a big mess there at the beginning.
Yeah, good you stood up to him. You guys stood up to that.
Yeah. And in my book, I talked a lot about the business of music. That it's more like 85% business and 15% music.
Right.
And most musicians don't understand the publishing business and royalties. No, that's where they get you.
Right. How important getting the publishing rights is.
Right.
Yes.
So I tell anybody, a young person growing up, that read about that too. You can call BMI or ASCAP and get free information from them about what royalties are and rates and all that. My band in Kansas signed up with Don Kirshner, and he took them for zillions on their publishing. They didn't know what they were doing. But, hey, we're in New York City. Woo, we're in New York City. We're from Topeka, Kansas. We're in New York. Yahoo! Sign everything. They signed everything. And guess what? They lost millions and millions of dollars.
Looking to the bank, yeah.
Just for the stroke of the pen.
Right.
When you're young. So gotta be careful.
Yeah. That's a sad story. And unfortunately it's happened throughout the decades for a long time. You have to be smart. Yeah, you have to be smart. Yeah. Well, going back to the first album, Mike Stone was also pulled in, and he's the guy that's worked with heavyweights like Queen.
Yep.
In fact, their first 6 albums.
Oh yeah.
Asia, April Wine, another band.
He was a Ray Thomas Baker understudy.
Yeah.
And we had, through a lecture, we had given our tape to Brian May. Would he produce us? We fellas got no harm in asking, right?
Right.
He said he liked the music a lot. and he would do it if he had time from Queen. So a couple months into it, he said he hasn't got time, but he had driven his car across London and put the cassette tape in the mailbox of Mike Stone. And when we got to New York, Mike was in New York City working on a Kiss album, doing some touching up something. And Bill Coyne said, would you guys be open to having Paul Stanley maybe producer and have Mike Stone be the engineer? And we thought that's kind of cool. And Paul isn't a famous producer like Mutt Lange or something like that, but he's been on a bunch of records. He knows what he's doing. So it worked out that he was like a great coach, and Mike, of course, was the knob twirler, could get all the great tunes and splice the tape together, and all hell's breaking loose inside the recording console. The tape was going down through the back and the ceiling, and
Right.
blew it back together, and boom, guitar solo.
Looking at Mike's CV, another favorite band of mine that I saw he produced, Shoes.
Yeah.
Present tense.
They were on Electra. Yeah.
Yeah, a big favorite of mine. In fact, I talked to Jeff Murphy. It's the two Murphy brothers in that band. Did a written interview with him a couple of years ago. But yeah, that's one of my favorite bands as well. Like that power pop sound.
Right.
Well, what an album the first album is, though, in my opinion. Again, you said recorded on Infinity. I had heard, Don't Ever Want to Lose You on the radio, FM radio. And I had to go out and buy the album after I heard that. I said, I knew that was a precursor of great things to come. And again, there's not a bad song on the album. I don't think. I think it's just or like the English would say, a naff track. They're all really quality tracks for their. Of course, Don't Ever Want to Lose You. And you mentioned earlier Moody Blues and the Mellotron. I like it that you guys use that, the addition of the Mellotron on those tracks.
Yeah.
That really was like icing on the cake. Yeah.
When you hear Strawberry Fields, the flute part, that doo, 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 that's a Mellotron. It's not a real flute player.
Right. Exactly.
It's a recording of a flute. It's an 8-second loop.
Yeah.
It's the London Symphony Orchestra doing one note for 8 seconds.
Yeah.
With a keyboard. And it's the real thing, real strings, real violins. And they have vocal ones, they have harmony parts, which we also had. And so the deal was to re-record the album from 16 track to 24 track, which is the same thing Boston had to do when they got to Epic. Their demo was 16 track, but now they had to do 24 track. Yeah. And we went to Los Angeles to do that. Did the music in Los Angeles, the singing at Electric Ladyland in New York City at Jimi Hendrix's place, and then we went to Trident Studios in England and mixed it. So we spent a lot of money making that record, but we had worked so long in those 3 years of putting the music together, it was nothing to be changed. There was no guy coming and saying, you got to swap this chorus and do 2 verses instead of 1. No arrangement, anything like that. So Paul was a great coach. We're all the same age. We all like the same things, same influences. We had a great time.
Yeah.
He was really good at getting good takes, listening to what we're doing instead of us having to go in a control room every 5 seconds. How's that?
Right. You don't like that's
here, do it again.
That's not a good way to work. Yeah, it's a very, very accomplished album. And the production is really nice on it. Punk, P-U-N-K. I like the acronyms. You came up with puny, undernourished kid. Yeah. Right. Positively united with, no respect for the other kids. Yeah.
Right.
I liked all those.
He was it was the very beginning of the whole punk thing with ear piercings and tattoos and stuff. And John was kind of distance some of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of a fun song.
Yeah. And then another one I like is Alone Tonight.
Right.
That's a favorite of mine. Yeah.
Great song. We were in Washington, D.C. at the Capitol Center for 2 nights with Kiss. And they had the big screens up on the ceiling saying, whatever you do, don't look up because you look stupid.
Yeah, right.
So me, I'm on stage right by myself. I'm kind of like,
you got to look up.
And we're doing Alone Tonight.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all the bells went off, all the red lights. I just made a big mistake. I just made a big claim this song. I am way off the grid. I'm like, oh my God. And I looked at my left hand, and it was in the verse, and I played this really fast thing. We were so rehearsed that my brain said I made a mistake, and my hand played the proper part. And for the next 6 seconds, my hand went, boom. whoa, we're bad. Pay attention. But my hand was no mistake. My hand just naturally played this long part because we played it so many times already.
Yeah.
It's just burnt into my brain. It's the thing about rehearsing. Some guys, oh, don't want to rehearse too much. You want to lose the flavor. Baloney. Play it 20 times and get it right.
Exactly.
There's nobody out there that's famous hasn't played their songs
no,
a billion times.
you've gotta hone the chops. Yeah,
Yeah.
you really do. You do. Now on to this is my favorite track. I have to tell you on the whole album. Shall I Run Away?
Oh, cool. Mine too. I agree.
Is it really? Yeah, it's a beautiful song. The kind of song that gives you goosebumps. You know what I'm saying?
That's our homage to King Crimson.
Okay, I can do that.
Are you familiar with our 5 CD compilation that we did on Cherry Red Records?
Oh no! I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, because it's got all the Philadelphia demos. It's also got we call the Blizzard tapes. Were done during the Blizzard of '78.
Yeah.
Hold up in the snow for 3 days. We do a version of the original Shall I Run Away had another middle part. It was really a spacey, just guitar and keyboards kind of drizzling along, kind of like a King Crimson kind of thing, and just kind of spacey, and all of a sudden, boom again,
Yeah.
And then we went to the studio in LA, we cut it up, we chopped it, because the song already was 5 minutes long as it is. This would have made the song like 7 minutes, and it got chopped. But you can hear it if you buy that CD, or go on YouTube.
We'll have to
look up
look into that. Yeah.
that 5 CD album. It's on YouTube, I think.
And especially the fade out at the end, John's vocals, I guess, where he's, just taking it out, the end of the song is just beautiful. It's just gorgeous.
Right. Yeah.
And it just, it gets, it makes your skin tingle just listening. Right. Yeah. Feel it right in there. Yeah.
We prided ourselves, we could do quiet songs and spacey songs as well as rock out the best of the rock bands out there and keep it going. Or some bands can't play slow songs. You can't play slow songs when you're an opening act either. When the headliner, you can get away with that stuff and have a show, have dry ice and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
lighting and stuff, which we later on got into that. But
yeah,
I love that song a lot. It's a good song.
Yeah, two more from the album. You see how many I pick off this album. Yeah, Nothing to Fear. Yeah. I like the intro guitar. Is that like an acoustic?
Yeah.
Okay. And then of course the mellotron and that soaring chorus in that track.
I've got a good Rush story. We were in Lansing, Michigan with Rush. Yeah. Just a one-off deal. And they had yet to record Tom Sawyer, I think. But they were the headlines and we were the other band. And our crew and Jimmy and Hirsh had a whole mountain of drum hardware in the corner, broken drum bits. They smashed and thrashed and bent and threw them in a big heap. And they took a cymbal stand and fashioned a stand to hold an acoustic guitar. So it could do Nothing to Fear. So it'd be on the stand, John could play and step back and somebody could grab it off the stage. One of our crew guys in the dark grab it and all of a sudden, boom, electric guitar. As opposed to trying to put the guitar back on, put the electric guitar back on. And Geddy Lee came out and they're going, man, where'd you get that? We need to get one of those. Because they didn't make that stuff back then.
They needed
it. Wasn't that what was there's all kinds of new groovy things you can have on your music stand or whatever. Nobody had that. They said, where'd you guys get this? We made it. Airplanes, aircraft engines, helicopters, guns, we make all that stuff.
Oh yeah, right.
I grew up on a factory town. I went down to trade school.
you might should have marketed that. You might have made some money off of that.
Yeah. Right. And it held an Ovation 12-string acoustic perfectly. It's all had foam on it and everything was in the road case. That was a pretty good story of that.
and then one last track, the follow-up single, Hello, Hello, Hello. Mm-hmm. And that has the vocals with the English accent on that.
Yeah, LOL. John does have a Boston accent. So it gets kind of confused and they think he's faking it, but he's from Boston. He's got the guitar and the Harbour thing going on.
Yeah.
I don't. And in Connecticut, some people have more of a New York accent. It's kind of in no man's land there. But I don't have that accent.
No, you don't have really any accent that I could detect. Just an American,
right?
Generic
kind of New York,
Yeah, no.
Or
No.
we got Joe Stump and Alcatrazz. He's in New York big time. About two
I know. Yeah. Yeah, one of the, I know. Well, the Infinity went under.
Infinity does not mean forever.
Yeah, right. Now you learn that, right? Yeah.
The hard way.
The hard way.
That's really killed us. That's what happened to the records.
Yeah.
Nutshell. We started doing the second record. Second record did so well that everyone agreed that we could produce the band ourselves with Mike Stone. And Paul was busy doing Kiss things at that point. So could we just do another record on our own? We got new songs and all that. And John would be the producer along with the band and Michael. And Mike, and we agreed to go do it in Boston and save a lot of money, which we did. We pared down our crew and all that. And then we were on Don Kirsh's rock concert, our video. And we had done a video, which back then nobody had videos. Back then you only had a video if you were Queen or Elton John or somebody.
Yeah.
This is like 3 or 4 years before MTV was even invented.
Yeah.
So we're on TV, and one of the coolest things in my life was call my mom, say, we're in a TV guide.
Yeah, check it out.
Because you're in a TV guide, you have to do something's going on there.
Right. That's fun.
That was a moment.
Yeah,
I got a copy floating around somewhere.
Oh, do you? Do you?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Yeah.
It was us and Kiss.
Okay, you and Kiss.
So we're doing our record. You know, it was like, he came out at 10 o'clock at night on Friday, whatever it was, 11 o'clock. And about 4 teams are out there in front of the TV set, you know, in the office of the recording studio, watching play, don't ever want to lose you, yelling and screaming, throwing stuff at the TV set. This is great. I'm doing a new record, all's well. And about a few days later, I got a phone call saying that Infinity is no more and it's over. We have no more funding for this record. The money we're racking up, we're going to pay for it ourselves right now, not in the future. Great, that's good news. So if MCA said out of the 44 bands that Ronald Lexberg had signed, he swore he was going to sign like 2 or 3 bands that work closely with the artist. And I thought that's cool, like Clive Davis. Yeah. He did. He signed 44 bands in 1 year. MCA said out of 44 bands, we're keeping 4. And you're one of the 4. Okay. So we went to Los Angeles, had a meeting with Bob Steiner, MCA Records, the Black Rock, you know, first out there, Lancashire Boulevard, and asked him all kinds of questions. He goes, how do you guys know this stuff? These questions to ask me, you know, hang out with the Kiss guys, you know, point of proof is this, and 1 by 1s, 2 by 2s. Yes, throw this, out, throw that. And waiting on this, literally on the doorstep was Elektra Records. And they wanted to still sign us. So they took us to dinner, promised us the earth. You know, we want you to be the next queen, the American queen. You guys are the guys. We need you. We want you. Elektra, we're the home of the Doors and all this stuff. We want the band big time. And we said, okay. So that took us a year in court to pull that off. So the record came out. And then when it came out, we were right into the whole Pretenders, Nick Lowe and Elvis Costello scene. Big time, The Clash, everything, Sex Pistols. So now we're dinosaurs. We suck. It's like, great, we suck. Okay, fine. And we had a song called Conversation on the second record. Just kind of like Cruel Be Kind. It's just conversation. It's all we need. It's on an acoustic guitar. We play it live. I play ukulele, and it's that kind of song.
Yeah.
And we thought that's the single, right? And meanwhile, this song called Explorer Suite, it's this big opus, you know, 2 keyboard players and the big grand slam. They want that to be the single to showcase how cool we are. We're like, no. And they edited, some guy edited it who didn't even know us and just smashed these things together. That sounded pretty bad. They put the song out, and of course, the radio people said we were dinosaurs and it's not happening anymore. You guys in Kansas and Sticks, you guys can go home now. It's over. You know.
They wanted like a new Bohemian Rhapsody.
Cut down guys that can't play guitars from England, but they got attitude, you know, and they rip T-shirts and screaming and yelling and got nose piercings and stuff, and whatever. And we're like, fine. So we went on tour, and again, I went on tour with Blue Oyster Cult, Tin Lizzy, Cheap Trick, and headline a lot of places ourselves at that time. And then I went for a third record, And this time we decided to use Todd Rundgren, because we were all serious Nas fans.
Yes,
When I
yes,
was in high school, I loved the Nas.
yes,
First Nas album. I got the second one too. There's even a third one. I got that too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we thought Todd was cool. So we went to his house, did the record. Tess was the shortest record I ever did, the whole thing in 3 weeks. Wrote it, recorded it, mixed it. And it was a song called, we had a song we thought would be the follow-up to Don't Ever Wanna Lose You. And had the big harmony things and the guitar, and Todd's playing guitar with John, dual guitar thing. And we thought, that's cool. Get Todd Rundgren playing guitar in our song. This is way cool. I'm impressed. Well, my friends hear this. And there's another song that had no lyrics, and John was kind of saying, stay with me or something. And Todd goes, well, Stuart's got a song called Stay With Me. Let's stay away from that. How about something like Be My Dirty Dream or something? We'll call it DDT. And we all said, that sounds like fun. Let's do that. So
right.
this silly song about Be My Dirty Dream Tonight. You're the kind of girl I like. Yada, yada, yada. Just a fun, Jerry Lee Lewis kind of piano part, which was different for us to do.
Yeah.
Just a rave up kind of song. Something we could do on an encore song, maybe, whatever. And we sent that to a lecturer in LA, and they're saying, it's amazing. The people at the office in LA are dancing on the desktops. This is a hit. This is a hit. You guys nail it. This is a hit. Come on in. So we sent it in. And the last thing Todd said at his house in Woodstock was, don't let a lecturer fuck this. He's my French kids. So they did.
Yeah.
So they released DDT, and every female program director and music director in America said we're male chauvinist pigs and refused to play the record. And they kicked us off the record label, and we went back to Boston with nothing.
Oh, is that right?
Madison Square Garden, all that stuff, forget it.
Yeah.
Playing with Journey and AC/DC in Dallas and Fort Worth and Slam Austin, Corpus Christi, knocked them all off, coast to coast. Go back with zero. It's like, this sucks.
Wow.
We started doing our fourth album.
Yeah.
And on that 5 CD box set, there are recordings of us. There's 5 or 6 songs that would have been on the fourth album, that were done the fourth album. And what I like about that box set is that it's in our little place, and you can hear it talking, and all of a sudden, boom, the band comes in. You can hear how we sounded live in the room. There's no backing tracks. There's no anything like that. There's no extra people, just the 4 of us. And the song just like, it's like hearing the Who playing in a little 2-room cottage. It's like, whoa. And you
It
can
comes
hear
out like those recordings better.
Yeah, we have a song called Back on the Streets Again. We were angry.
Yeah.
We played angry.
Yeah.
And we were out at that point playing one night with the Ramones here and some other band there. And then John Fannon, guitar player, quit the band.
Yeah.
It's like, great, thank you. So now what? Now I got to find a guitar player. We put the word out to a bunch of guys that were interested. And Gene Simmons rang us up. And so we got a guy in LA that's writing with us. Great songwriter, great guitar player, sings really good too. But he's too short to be in Kiss. You guys can have him.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and he played for Dan Hartman from Meg Winter's band, Laura Nyro, Felix Cavalier from Young Rascals, done a bunch of records. He was also on Happy Days and the Chachi.
Yeah. Dan Hartman, Edgar Winter, right?
Yeah. Free Ride and all that.
Yeah.
And he was on with the Happy Days, the Pinky Tuscadero thing. He was writing all that music for Susie Quattro.
I remember. Yes.
So he came to Boston. He sent us a tape, and it sounded great. It was like Heavy Foreigner. But this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like perfect for the radio. We're in.
Yeah.
Learned some of these songs. He flew in. We played. We couldn't believe it. And then what he didn't know, we learned his demo tape. He played our songs and sounded pretty good. Then we said, "Watch this." And we played his songs, and he just freaked out. He said, "Man, nobody in LA plays like you guys. This is unbelievable. What are we going to do?"
Yeah.
So let's think about this. So the next day we decided, well, let's just forget the whole New England thing we've been working on it for 6 years of our lives. Let's just go to LA and start a whole brand new band. Vinny, Jimmy, and Hirsh and I. And we did. We went to LA, started rehearsing, and
That would be
about 6 weeks
Warrior.
or so.
That would be Warrior, right?
Yeah, and we had different names, Hunter, Warrior, whatever. We're never had a real name. And into the 6th week or so, the guys just decided Vinny could be the band. So Vinny Cusano became Vinny Vincent. And
Okay.
you know, went on tour with Kiss in Brazil. Now I'm in LA. Go, now what? Now I got a place in Boston I can't pay for. I'm in LA with no place to stay and no band, no prospects. What do we do now? So Jim and I decided we were going to stay in LA and play hardball. There was nothing to do at the Boston scene at that moment, unless somebody got sick that I knew in other bands. But there was nothing going on. And that became Alcatrazz. I got a phone call from somebody, and we met Graham Bonnett from Rainbow, and we started a band which became Alcatrazz.
But before moving on to Alcatrazz, just to clean up a little bit of the more recent goings on with New England, you guys reunited in what, 2002 for the More Than You'll Ever Know to record that track, which would go on Hirsh's solo album.
Right.
Yeah, recorded. And then he started the Hirsh Gardner project.
Right.
Yeah. And there would be a few more shows in the new millennium.
Yeah, we've done about 14, 16 shows since then.
Okay. Yeah.
And we played Boston, a couple places in Boston, and another place in Los Angeles. And we really couldn't get enough steam to play Pittsburgh or Chicago someplace. And because we had so much time off the road and hadn't really kept up with things.
Yeah.
But we played and it sounded great. John had his wife had passed away, and Jimmy said we should go to his house and hang out. Hadn't seen him in 12 years, and we kind of left on not the best terms. So we went there, and everybody made up and had a great time, and started working on some new songs. And we recorded 2 new songs that day. Sounded great, just like always.
Yeah,
so
just
easy.
like
we all think the same. It's a working machine.
Right.
And I thought, this is cool. And Hirsh goes, let's play live at Steven Tyler's benefit next year. I said, oh no. Come on, stop. So we did. And the guy said, we've been together 23 years, and we launched off, and we were playing Alone Tonight. I was thinking, come on, God, just be cool for 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, right.
And there was a bunch of other bands, Boston bands were there, and people like Jay Giles guys were in the audience, and Aerosmith guys, and at least be cool enough to get through this, But halfway into Alone Tonight, I was thinking, and these other bands that are playing, who has played Madison Square Garden twice or Montreal for none of these guys were bad, and just wow, we just nailed it. Just blew everybody away, just stole the show, and wow, that's cool. And then came back the second year and did it because we were all living in different cities at that point. I was in Michigan, Jimmy was still in LA, and so we kept doing it every year. We'd do 2 or 3 gigs, come back, and recorded a few songs. That's all good. Got one new song on the camera now, but it's kind of just sitting there. It's like, come on, let's do something with this.
Right.
So it hasn't ended yet. It's an ongoing.
I was going to say, so the door's still
story.
open. The door's still open to work with those guys.
Yeah. We're all still friends.
Okay.
Hirsh just did a 3rd solo album, and we all play on some of his tracks. He did one of my songs called "I'm Not Down" that would have been on the 4th album, and that's on that 5 CD pack. Also, you can hear the original demo of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Not the demo, Hirsh sang the demo. So he did that song. It was kind of cool.
Well, now moving on to Alcatrazz. Interesting, you mentioned Graham Bonnett with Rainbow. Also, early on, he was in the band Marbles and singing the Gibbs Brothers track "Only One Woman."
Right,
and that's a great song. If for any of you that never heard it, check it out.
Marbles. That's a big hit in Europe in 1969 or something. 70. It was a big rock star.
Only One Woman.
It's on the 3rd Alcatrazz album.
Oh, is it? Okay. It just shows really anything that Barry, Robin, and Maurice wrote was gold, pretty much.
Yeah. Graham's cousin was a guitar player for the Bee Gees touring band.
Okay. Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
his Bee Gees connection.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's Yngwie Malmsteen, a giant in hard rock, heavy metal
Right.
guitar.
At
You
the
know,
time, he was this young kid from Sweden, and he's playing around
yeah.
the rock scene. And he thought when he got a call from our manager that there was a crank phone call. His friends were winding him up.
Did he?
That's the real deal. And he came down. It was great. We auditioned Lawrence Jabbar from Wings the night before. Great guitar player, plays for Paul McCartney. What else could you say about that? But he wasn't the right guy for heavy rock. He had a small amplifier. First thing he said was, "Can you guys turn down?" Like,
Turn it down.
oh, good.
You knew he wasn't right.
He was right.
No.
They
Well,
came into Richie Blackmore sweepstakes and nailed all that stuff. And had the same clothes, the same white go-go boots, the whole deal.
yeah,
Same
yeah.
necklace, same jewelry, same rings.
Oh, did he? Did he on every finger? Yeah,
Yeah, he had the whole thing, everything.
well, well, since we spent a lot of time on New England, or I spent a lot of time on New England, and I want to hear more about the book, take us through a brief history of Alcatrazz.
Well, we had Yngwie and Graham. We They weren't the original guys, so we had to scramble to find guys. We auditioned a bunch of drummers: Ainsley Dunbar, uh, Bill Lorden from Robin Trower's band played with us for a while. We had uh, my friend John from Detective came in and played for us. We took Jan Uvena, who had been in the more recent Alice Cooper band, and he played for the Pointer Sisters and worked on Ronnie Wood's solo albums and the Last Session stuff. Really
Yeah.
good drummer. Did the record, and we were on a small time record company through MCA. And because of New England, they signed us. We got in the first place because of New England, not so much the Rainbow thing, even though that was a big hit for Graham. So we were able to go to this small company in Orange County, south of LA. And they gave us the world with no demo. We had a brand new complex, a rehearsal place, a recording studio, all for ourselves, and they had no other bands. We thought this works.
Yeah, definitely,
So,
definitely.
but unfortunately, they didn't know what they were doing when the record came out. They didn't promote it, and then they all got busted. There was a big thing with the owner getting busted for fraud, and so we came out in 1983 with Yngwie, went to Japan, headlined to Great. We did a big tour with, we did Ted Nugent's Penetrated Tour, summer of '84. About 30 shows with Ted Nugent across the country. We worked with Eddie Money before that. Uh, Night Ranger, a bunch of shows with Night Ranger. And there started to be friction between Graham and Yngwie. Yngwie was really on fire and was just doing his own thing. He wasn't like paying attention to the band thing. And he was cutting people off and get in front of people on stage, like stop, you know.
Yeah.
So and Graham was not a good band leader. So he wouldn't just go and say, if you do it again, I'm gonna kill you. Don't do that. Instead, he kept all inside and he's gonna quit the band or something. It just got to be stupid. And the manager was saying Yngwie is gonna do something, so he's filling his head with all this stuff. He's gonna be a big star. Most of these old guys, 36 years old or something. I was 34, I think. I'm old, so yeah, right. And I was telling Yngwie, to play on the radio in America, we can't do the Dungeons and Dragons thing.
No.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
We have to same. That's why Rainbow did Since You've Been Gone. The big bad Rainbow, Richie Blackmore, Deep Purple, big guys. The guys that invented all this stuff. What are they singing? A Russ Ballard song they bought. They didn't even write the song, but guess what? Hit the top 30 and put them in enough position to headline another 10 years of their lives and make money. And we need to do the same thing. And if you want to hold your nose, whatever, or join a different band, go now, because that's what we're trying to do here. I want to be on the radio in America. I don't care about being heavy. So that got into a big mess at the end. So before it could fester into the next record, we decided to replace Yngwie. And we put the word out, and Jimmy met David Rosenthal, who played for Rainbow, Berkeley guy. And he said, my friend from Berkeley, who plays for Fang Zappa, Steve Vai, he'd be great for you guys. So he was in LA, and Jimmy contacted him. He came down and auditioned for us. We told Yngwie there was nothing going on a particular Sunday. He could stay home, no interviews or anything. And meanwhile, we're in Burbank at the studio with all our stuff set up. And we auditioned Steve, and it was cool. Kind of different, you know, quirky. But he had this rough thing. He just done 7 albums with Frank Zappa. Could play anything backwards, upside down, stand on his head, close his eyes, play it perfectly. One of those guys, you know, just stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Right.
And so was Yngwie. So I'm in a band was, you know, with a band was a good band. So we
Yeah.
needed somebody that could do that. It's hard to find somebody who could do that. So we found Steve, said this is great. And just before we come off the road, we got an offer to go to Capitol Records, in which we did. And about a month after that, Rockshire got shut down because the owner, his wife, was working for Howard Hughes Medical and siphoned 12,000 checks to him for the tune of $24 million.
Wow.
And the feds came in and locked that whole complex down. And the bands that were there at that time lost all their gear and probably still in the FBI locker somewhere. But we were at Sunset and Vine going, dodge that bullet.
You did,
New
yes.
guy,
You
he can go
did.
start his own band, and he can be the big shot in his own band and torture everybody. Fine, knock yourself out. And we split up in two. Then we worked with Eddie Kramer, who was a great producer. Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Stones. He's got 4 pages of bands. He did
Oh, wow.
Ocean Number 9 by the Searchers. I mean,
Yeah.
he's been around.
Yeah.
Great stories.
Right,
Did a
right.
great record, but our manager now is screwing on Yngwie and trying to make him the next big thing, you know, and making this war in the press that we hate each other, which we really didn't. But he played that up and made everybody hate each other eventually, which was stupid. So now we got no manager in Capitol Records. Where's your manager? And you need to go on the road here for the second record. Nothing's happening. We're waiting. Went to Texas and Albuquerque, just some small things with Steve. And then all of a sudden, Steve gets a phone call from Dave Lee Roth. Now, all the guitar players Dave Lee Roth can get in the world to be in his new band, he picks our guy. So we lose a guy to Kiss. We lose a guy to Dave Lee Roth. And so, you know we're not chopped liver here. This is no average band, you know.
Right.
We do stuff. And so now what? So we then recruited Danny Johnson, who had been with Rick Derringer and Rod Stewart. We want to do a little bit different direction. Maybe not so much on the European guitar solos for 8 minutes of the song. And we did a record and didn't quite come out what we hoped for, and went on tour. By that point, we were managed by Ronnie Dio's wife, Wendy Dio. And she was struggling for all that. And the band broke up at that point. Capitol and Graham in the third record was offered by Capitol Records outside writers like Brian Adams, really good songs. My friend Helen Knight, and they had done the same thing for Heart. And Heart at that point, we're doing that third record. We're going around the world for the third time. And Mark Aney's the bass player, is a friend of mine. He's in Spirit, Jojo Gunn, great guy.
Oh, Jojo Gunn, yeah.
Danny Carmassi from Montrose was the drummer.
Yeah.
They had no qualm about being on the radio and selling out arenas. They had no problem with that. People couldn't badmouth Heart or whatever they want to say.
Right.
But Dreams and all those songs, they didn't write those songs.
Yeah.
They sang them really well, played the hell out of them.
Yeah.
And Capitol came and said, we got the same bunch of new songs from these people. And Graham totally refused to do that. He said, if I write the lyrics and I'll get more money someday. Well, not if the record only sells 3 copies, you're not going to even get 3 pennies. Not going to happen. He's not that guy that thinks like that. So we took the heat, and Capitol dropped the band. So much for that, Bert. So much for that, you know. Wouldn't listen. We did the Marble song, which I thought at the time was way wrong. What we should be doing. I mean, it's a waltz. It's 3/4 time. Bop, 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 bop. That's not rock. Bop, 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 bop.
No, that's not.
I'm falling asleep over here.
That's not hard rock at all. No.
We were playing with Night Rangers. Saying, this is what we should be doing. Look at these guys. The guys got great guitar players. They're great bass
Yeah.
drums.
Yeah.
And they're on the radio. Like I got 3 songs on the radio at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You want to play whatever. You got this vision. It's like, that's cool. Everyone, Jimi Hendrix had a vision, but he was on the radio.
Yeah, it's a little different there, right? Well,
Yeah.
you would play on 2017 reunion shows with Alcatrazz.
Yeah, what it was Graham Bonnett had his own band at that point. And Jimmy played on a couple of tracks on one of his albums. And then they said, why don't you come on tour with us and go to Japan, be in a band? So Jimmy joined the Graham Bonnett band. And they did some gigs. They played Europe, did a record. And then the idea came along that what if we try and have like an Alcatrazz thing where the Graham Bonnett band would play. And then myself, Graham, and Jimmy would come out with Graham's drummer and guitar player and do an Alcatrazz set. And see if the promoters would like this combination, Graham Bonnett band, Alcatrazz.
Right.
So I said, I'm in. We went to Japan. We played in Texas, actually. We played Corpus Christi, Dallas, I think, and Reno. And it went okay. It was great. I mean, we're in Japan. I was having a great time. It's my 3rd time in Japan. And it was decided at that point that maybe if we become Alcatrazz full-time, the 3 of us, nobody could do it with 1 person or 2 people, but it had to be 3 people from the original band to get a deal. So we decided to do that. And got a deal in Europe and England, which Silver Lining Records, who were great to us. And we started making a record. And it was right in the middle of COVID. And we had a 20-city European tour lined up, and that all gone. So we're recording the album, and Graham decided he wasn't happy, didn't like some things, and quit the band, and goes back to the Graham Bonnett band. So fine, we'll just get somebody else to sing. People might freak out about that, but it's the way it goes, There's 2 guys in Van Halen. There can be 2 guys in a lot of bands, singer or no singer. So we got Doogie White, who had been with, Michael Schenker and Yngwie and Richie Blackmore. Worked out perfect. And then Graham started making a big stink about the name, that he was going to become Alcatrazz. So you just quit Alcatrazz. This band Alcatrazz was signed to a record deal. You signed a contract saying you wouldn't do any of their music for a year after quitting the band, if you do quit the band. But you're going to be, you were a band. And everyone's saying, well, it's his band, it's his band. I said, no, we started a band together. And I always say one thing to anybody out there that questions asked, that backup guys don't sign record deals. So find any record deal about Alcatrazz, my name's on every one of them. So is Jimmy's name. We're not backup guys. And we're the guys that kept the thing running, because Graham's not that kind of guy. Graham's actually wants to appear and sing and leave. One of those guys. Yeah. Much to his demise, and he's still doing that. So we have progressed from there. And Joe Stump, at the end, had been hired by the Graham Bonnett band, became our drummer, and also Mark Banquiccia, who was Graham's drummer in the Graham Bonnett band back there in 2017, hooked up with us. So we had a great band. And since then, we're working on a 3rd studio album. We have a new album coming out of some reimagined songs we've done for the 21st century, with Joe playing on the track instead of Yngwie. And that's kind of cool. It's called Prior Convictions.
That'll be cool
now.
Yeah. And how's the progress on that?
That's great. That CD is coming out as we speak. Prior Convictions. I'm brave. It's on a new album. It'll be out probably beginning of the year in 2026.
Okay.
There's dates right now in Sweden and Finland and Denmark and the whole bit, Belgium, France, Germany, Czechoslovakia, between next Thanksgiving and next Christmas.
Okay. Well, let's talk some about the book, points that you haven't brought up previously. What are some other important lessons that you learned during your career in music?
Well, perseverance is one. The other thing is moving around. So a lot of people think they can make videos now in their bedroom at their parents' house, and they're going to be stars. They're going to be on TikTok. They're going to be on
Yeah.
YouTube, and they'll be a star. You know, it's like, no, you know. And through the technology today, through things like Pro Tools, and we can record. I can record in Florida, make an album, send it to Germany and Scotland, to Doogie's house, whatever, New York, LA. We don't have to all be in the same room anymore, which is pretty cool. But we're still a band. We still have to rehearse together and be a band. And you have to be able to network. And that's not easy. That's a tough thing for some people's making friends and meeting people, and a little audacity here and there, a little guts, and just jump in there. All I can say is no. So my thing is, don't never take no for an answer. If the door gets slammed, knock on some more doors, and the door might open. Like Michael Corbin, I run around London in recording studios trying to get free time. No, door slams. No, door slams. A year later, he's on the Mike Douglas show.
Yeah.
That's an example. And I'm at Madison Square Garden. We're on Don Kirsh's rock concert and all that.
Yeah.
And sometimes the audition you might not get could be the best thing ever happened to you, because the next thing comes along is the thing that should happen to your career. And it works out down the road. You can't get sour about it and freak out. You gotta be patient, hang in there, keep doing what you're trying to do.
One door closes, another opens, and
You want to be in a particular band, just wait till somebody quits and then jump in there.
Yeah.
Or start your own band, and I've been lucky to start my own bands, and the bands that had some success, and I'm proud of that as well.
Yeah.
Start a band from scratch. I mean, it's one thing to join a famous band, and a lot of guys have done that. The new guy in this band or that band out of nowhere. But to actually sit in a room with 3 or 4 guys, let's start a band. We'll call it this, and we'll do this. And we'll put this guy's songs out there. And we'll work on it, and we'll try and get a manager and a record company guy to finance us. And so I did it once, and I thought when New England broke up, and we're out in LA with Vinnie Vincent, I said, now what? It's over. I said, we did it once. Why can't we do it twice?
Right.
And the magic happened twice, and we did it with Alcatrazz.
Yeah.
We just said every man for himself, or if you hear something, I hear something. And it turns out they said, a keyboard player. And then Graham and the manager, Andy Truman, and he said, yeah, no, Jimmy, he's right down the street. So it's 4 of us get together and see what we can do.
Yeah.
So here we are 40 years later, making records, doing podcasts.
Right. Exactly. I talked to a guy the other day. I said, back in the day, to have an interview, I mean, you could have a phone interview, but to have an audio visual, you would have to be there with that person. I'd have to travel to you. You'd have to travel here, and now we're able to do this, around the world, so.
Right. You're in your own living room,
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So that's
really
the
cool
upside.
thing.
That's the upside of technology. Yeah.
Right. You still got to, and there's so many, just, with auto tuning and all that, you can cheat now and move notes around and make it better. You still got to know how to play.
Yeah.
And it's harder and harder. And just fewer bands is more, it's more like 45s again, where there's solo artists now. There's not really any bands. Very few there's just some new rock bands, but not like it used to be.
Yeah.
Most of the success is from all these single artists that have a single and a backup band and get popular. So the music keeps changing, but there's always somebody that comes along with something that's really terrific. So there's some great bands out there, some young bands. They just say you got to hang in there. You got to stay with it,
Yeah.
And once it moves, you got to hang on.
Don't let go, right? Don't let go.
Right. I mean, getting in the door is one thing. Back in the morning is another story.
Yeah.
So so my book's about that. It's about hanging in there and getting around. A few fallacies about who was in the band and who wasn't in the band. It's a big thing about Clive Burr from Iron Maiden was in Alcatrazz for a while. He only auditioned for us for 1 day. And we decided that day that he was not the guy. But our manager kept saying, oh, this is great. Rainbow and New England and Iron Maiden, I can sell this. Like, he's not the guy, he's not the guy. He's a nice guy, but he's not the guy, We kept looking and looking. And there's this thing about Yngwie and Graham punch each other on stage one time on the Ted Nugent tour. I said, that never happened. You know, Graham stepped on Yngwie's cord inadvertently, pulled the cord out of the guitar, because Graham wasn't paying attention. Yngwie got mad. Graham was mad, but nobody punched anybody. I was standing right next to him when it happened. I'm not the drummer, not the keyboard player. I was right there when it happened.
Yeah.
I go, this is high school.
Yeah. If people like to start those rumors, they love to do.
Right. But Graham says he hit Yngwie. Yngwie says he hit Graham. Neither of you hit anybody. You know, this is stupid. So I've been able to, in my book, to, I think, even it out as to what really happened.
Right.
Some of those deals, who was who, how the band really started, how the band broke up and why it broke up. And it continues right up to about 4 years ago. So it's really a story of my life when I was born, through my childhood up to about 4 years ago. And so I was approached by Books We Love Publishing in Calgary, Canada. Would I write a book about the music business? Not so much about my personal life, but about the music business, not about partying and all the rock and roll stories. We got plenty of those stories. I've got, you know, New England versus the Arkansas State Patrol. I got Alcatrazz versus Secret Service. I got some stories. We won, of course, but that's not now. Maybe the next book. So this book's about the music business and being a kid, making your first record, you know, standing outside New York City, looking at Jimi Hendrix's front door of the lecture and going, woo, woo, you know, and then like 6 years later, you're inside spending 20 grand a day for 3 days.
Yeah.
You know,
You're right.
And seeing the inside of the whole thing, you know, and how that inspires you to go step to step to step, keep going up. And you meet people, and if you're lucky, they give you confidence, and then you get confidence in yourself to keep going and keep climbing the steps up to that point where you want to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight. You just don't take 10 guitar lessons and join some superstar band. It's not going to happen. Gotta do the hard work. Some people think it's easy, you know, and it's like, and I say, there's a lot of bands, you know, a lot of music I don't particularly care for, but I give anybody credit. They can get a record deal and put a band together. I don't care what style it is.
Yeah.
I might hear the record go, ugh, but I got to give them credit. They're in the top 30. They're getting in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I don't like that band.
Exactly.
Hall of Fame. Who am I to say no? You know.
Right.
You got to give them credit. Anybody that has the perseverance and the balls to stay together and duke it out and play all those one-nighters in the station wagon and drive through the night with no food, no gas, get arrested. You know, you got to give them credit. So I'm open-minded about music and other bands. And I enjoy the fraternity of bands and music, and got great friends in other bands, and that's a great thing. It's a big family rather than being arguing and fighting. Better to just be a happy family and get along.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you're a music fan yourself, you know.
Yeah, so I'm fans of all these bands, you know.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
When I went to see the Easy Rider movie back when I was 19 or something, but man, and Born to Be Wild was on there, and that was Steppenwolf. They're the first one to set heavy metal thunder. I mean, I get credit for the whole heavy metal thing, the Harleys and all that stuff. They launched the whole scene.
Yeah.
And to be playing with Michael and then hanging out with him like 3 weeks ago, that's even crazier. And it's been like 50 years or something stupid.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, Gary, you think of anything else you'd like to mention or plug or?
Well, we got our new, like I said, we have a new record coming out called Prior Convictions, and it's reimagined 21st century recording of some of our old songs, kind of beefed up. And, it's on Brave Words Records, and check that out. And also, we have a new album coming out beginning next year in 2026. We'll be on tour in Europe at the end of the year, November, December. That's when people in Europe can see us there. And I guess in my book is
go ahead and mention that again.
Party.
Yeah.
I mean, to take the bass away, that dance party kind of goes out the window.
Yeah, you gotta have the bass. You got. Well, what about touring the U.S., the States?
Well, the band toured the U.S. Not this summer, but last summer.
Okay.
And then they East Coast and West Coast from New Orleans up to Montreal, and then kind of sailed back down to San Diego, but not across country, not to Texas, not to Chicago. Maybe next time,
Okay.
next year in 2026.
Okay.
So you can get my book any place, any bookstore in the country. It's on all digital media. There's an audio book available right now. It's on Kindle, and it's getting great reviews. So if anybody, hope you enjoy my book, and if you like it, write me a review on Amazon. I appreciate that.
All right, Gary. Well, it's been very enjoyable. I want to thank you again for doing this.
Thanks, Greg. I had a great time.
Yeah, and it's always fun hearing stories, and the journey is what it's about, and
Right.
yeah, so it's always nice to share your stories and recollections. So, all right, well, again, you guys watching this, check out, search out the book, yeah, and for some more stories and for some more insight into some lessons that maybe some pitfalls you want to avoid, maybe in the music industry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will send you a copy of this probably in about a week.
Okay.
And so you'll have it to post and share wherever you'd like to, and then it'll also be on my channel.
Yeah, I'll post it on all the Alcatrazz official thing, my own.
Yeah. Yeah, do that. See what kind of mileage we can get.
Yeah,
out of it. Yeah.
definitely.
All right. And I want to thank you. Stay in touch too. Keep me posted on, up and coming, events, the status with the album and things like that.
Oh, great. I will.
Just let me know. All right. All the best to you. Okay.
Take care.
All right. Take care.
Bye.